Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is Whole Foods. This comes from an article from naturalnews.com, October 21st, 2016. Whole Foods in deep financial trouble. Sales plummet following deceptive anti-labeling position with Monsanto. Is Whole Foods in bed with Monsanto? Could they be? Are they? Let's find out. So the financial outlook for Whole Foods market continues to look grim as consumers seeking natural and organic products continue to take their business elsewhere. Interesting, because you can go everywhere now and buy organic, right, Jamie? I mean, mainstream grocery stores.
Grocery store. Mainstream.
Yeah, years ago that wasn't.
Have a section.
You have sections. 10 years ago that wasn't the case. 20 years ago it wasn't even close to being the case, and 30 years ago it wasn't even heard of. Now, interesting, Jamie, this last week in our restaurant here, we had Arnie and Ronnie Koss, Koss. They are the founders of Earth's Best Baby Food. They were the founders of that company, and they were the very, 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 very first company to launch an organic product to be put into a mainstream grocery store to run side by side of its conventional product. They broke that mold in the late 70s, early 80s. Nobody had ever done that before. In fact, when they launched Earth's Best Baby Food, there had not been a new baby food brand in 40 years since World War II. So they really broke the mold all out. Arnie and Ron, two great brothers. They were in the restaurant last week. I've met them previously. So they were traveling through and they stopped in because they love our food. So that was interesting, just a side note on here. As far back as 2014, then CEO John Mackey admitted that the company was hurting due to an explosion in the number of stores selling organic. There's a lot of competition out there, Whole Foods, a ton of competition. The growing demand for fresh, healthy foods, the offerings of natural and organic products is expanding everywhere in new stores, existing stores, and online, Mackey said. So, we shop at Whole Foods, Jamie, because it's a convenience thing for us. Now, we don't shop there all the time. When we travel, we do. And believe me, I would much rather support a small, local, independent that I could get more things from. For me, it's only a convenience thing, and I know when I walk into Whole Foods that I have to focus on looking and making sure I'm buying the proper things. Because everything in the store is not healthy. Everything in the store is not organic. Everything in the store is not local. It's not anti or non-GMO. It's very, very, very misleading. Now, we do, just as this add to my disclaimer, we do shop at independents and we do support independents. But a lot of times when we fly into a big city, and we're going at a conference, we can go into Whole Foods, we can get a buffet lunch, so we can pick out all the vegetarian, vegan foods. We can really get a nice lunch. I know there's non-organic ingredients. I know there's probably GMOs in there through some of the canola oil they're using or whatever, but at least they list all the ingredients and I can pick and choose. We always grab a bottle of wine. We always grab some local beer because I like to taste the local beers, what's going on in that area, and we're at a restaurant conference, so we kind of do these beer shares with some of the other restaurant owners. So I always grab something, and they'll bring something maybe from their hometown. And then we can buy snacks for the room. We can buy big gallons of water. We can buy hummus. We can buy guacamole. We can buy fruit. So we can stock up on things like that for our hotel room. So for us, right as soon as we land in the airport, that's typically our first stop as a Whole Foods to take care of all of that. So, and sometimes we will stop at a Whole Foods in New Jersey. I really like to go into their section. I think they've done a fantastic job in the stores that sell wine and spirits, beer. They have a fantastic selection. So going in there and looking at the spirits is like a showcase for me because I can look at that brand. I didn't know we had this in our area. I didn't know we had this. So for me, I can get a lot of good ideas by going through their alcohol section for my restaurant specifically. And sometimes I'll find names of other farms or something and say, oh, cool, let me look into that product because we buy from one of the same suppliers, Whole Foods and Aroma Thyme. We buy from a company called United Natural Foods. So anything that's really in that Whole Foods store, in most cases, I can buy wholesale. So if I find something I like, I can buy it. Now, when I said that Whole Foods is not all organic, all non-GMO, don't get me wrong. Whole Foods has a lot of really awesome products, a lot of small batch products, a lot of local products, a lot of really truly independent products. But that's really not where they make the mainstay of their money. You can't walk into Whole Foods and buy Pepsi, a bottle of Pepsi, but you can buy many brands that are actually owned by Pepsi. You're not going to be able to walk in and buy something that has a General Mills label on it, but you're going to be able to buy Muir Glen, which is owned by General Mills. So these massive big companies have now these smaller organic brands, so-called organic brands, so-called natural brands, like Mother's Cereals owned by Pepsi. So when you walk into Whole Foods, even though you're not walking out of the store with that Pepsi can or product in your hand, your money's still going to Pepsi. Your money's still going to these big, massive companies. Your money still gets going to Monsanto because there's still GMOs in the food. So now Whole Foods came out with something where they were like, oh, we're going to label everything by 2018 or something. Give us 3 years. We can label it. We can do it. Well, now the company, the article here says, the company has also been hit by several recent scandals, including allegations of price gouging and more recently the colluding with Monsanto to ensure the passage of a bill that bans the labeling of foods made with genetically modified organisms. So here, the claim is that they're actually working with Monsanto to take our right away. When you look at the whole picture of food production, GMOs is a very highly profitable and lucrative for Monsanto, of course, and these cheap products that are being produced. Whole Foods is making money on that. That's where their gravy's coming from. That's where their financial benefits are coming, is from selling products that are made by Pepsi, products that are made from Muir Glen. From General Mills. You might have an organic brand in here and there that's supposed to not have GMOs in it, but when you look through the stores at the shelves at Whole Foods, you have to be an educated shopper. A lot of people walk into Whole Foods and say, oh, whatever's on the shelf is healthy and natural and organic, and I'm okay with buying everything. And that's so far from the case, people. So far from the case. So this article just goes on to saying how large organic is now. Organic sales were $11 billion in 2004. $11 billion. By 2014, $48 billion. 1998, $6 billion. 2014, $48 billion. That's a massively growing segment. So when you grow that fast and you have a Whole Foods that's a growing chain, there's a lot of exploitation to be done there. There's a lot of cutting corners. There's a lot of, Whole Food knows exactly where they make their money. And why do you think they have that massive salad bar and prep area with prepared foods? Because that's a very high profit center for grocery stores, extremely high profit center. So when they're sitting there selling, 50 pounds of tofu in a day, whether it's organic, certified non-GMO or non-organic, they're really not disclaiming what they're putting, what that tofu is sitting there. They're really not disclaiming everything that's there. Now, when you look through their seafood counter, I'm really highly disappointed because there's a lot of things there that truly aren't sustainable. That truly are things that I would never serve at my restaurant. They endorse farmed salmon, which is probably the biggest disappointment from Whole Foods. So we're taught as consumers, we've been taught for the last decade that farmed salmon is an atrocity. Farmed salmon is terrible. Farmed salmon, you should not consume it. You look at these scientific reports, all the mercury, the PCBs, all the contaminants in farmed salmon and a detriment to the environment. And then Whole Foods says, oh, here's a sustainably farmed salmon. Well, sustainably farmed salmon is an oxymoron because the whole industry is messed up. The way they do farm salmon is just ludicrous to begin with. So you have somebody that's doing a really bad job and somebody that's doing a halfway bad job. And the person that's doing a halfway bad job, that big company, that big farm of salmon, now says, well, ours is only halfway bad, so it must be sustainable. And they write their own standards. And, Whole Foods does have certain good standards on certain fish, like tilapia. You can't use methyl testosterone. They only use farms that have not administered methyl testosterone. Methyl testosterone is, in fact, a strong hormone that reverts the sex of the fish while they're or changes the sex of the fish while they're alive, because they know that male fish convert better than female fish. They want all the male fish to be males, so they just pump MT in all the water and the food, and the fish actually changes sex while it's living. So that's the one good thing that Whole Foods has done. So they do have certain good standards, because you have to have all the standards they've written. There has to be some that are good in there. But people want salmon. People buy salmon. Salmon's a very popular fish. So they've kind of bent the rules and turned the corner here on farmed salmon. But, said, well, here's a farmed salmon that's okay. Every single farmed salmon out there uses antibiotics. But you go to their website and they say, oh, we don't administer antibiotics. We don't we don't put antibiotics in its feed. But when you look at all the disclaimers on all these sites, fish get sick. Fish have to get sick when you pack them that close. So at a certain point of the fish's life, if they get sick, they're administering antibiotics. And you can't separate one fish out or 1,000 fish out of 250,000 fish in a net, in a pen. So you feed everything. You don't separate them, you feed everything. You might be able to drag that pen to a different part of the bay, but that might be a little portable and movable, but it's not one of those things where you can segregate and pull the fish out or sick. It doesn't happen. So you have to be extremely careful. So the average person that goes into Whole Foods thinks that they're buying salmon that's great, salmon that's equal to being wild salmon, some salmon that's pristine, when it's just regular old farm salmon that might be doing something half as bad. So Whole Foods, you have to be extremely careful with everything you buy in there. Are consumers rejecting organic traders? There's a section of this article as well, and company profits are tanking is basically what it's saying. So Whole Foods, you have a lot of good things to offer, and you also have a lot of bad things to offer. So buyer beware. The good thing is you can go to farmers markets now. Farmers markets run year-round in a lot of U.S. cities. They're inside buildings. They do run into the fall. They start early spring. There are a lot of community-supported agriculture projects you can get involved in where the food is delivered right to your door. There's a lot of co-ops. The weekly, bi-monthly co-ops, bi-weekly co-ops that you can actually get in and get some really good healthy food hopefully from somebody who has a good vision. You can go to independent health food stores. And the nice thing with smaller health food stores is typically the owner is there and the people that work there actually take part and pride in what's going on. They believe part of the value system. They have the same core values that are instilled with the owner's vision. It's not just a job for those people. A lot of people at Whole Foods, it's just a job for them because they employ so many people that it's just a job. I'm not saying there's not knowledgeable people that are working at Whole Foods and really dedicated. I got to tell you, when I go buy beer and wine there, I always ask for the beer geek on staff, and they send somebody over that's really knowledgeable about beer. But I don't know if you can find that kind of knowledge when you start going in the rows and start talking about, where's this sugar from in this thing, or how sustainable is this, or this chocolate, what's the story with this chocolate? I'm not sure they can help you with that. I've had good luck in the vitamin section because I believe that people that are in the supplement section have to have a little more training and understand what's going on and as far as what they're recommending or pointing in the direction to. So buyer beware, educate yourself. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on.